Hey everybody, how's it going? Just got out of our faculty meeting, so that's where I wasn't able to start up. That being said, I am trying to get you all caught up. It's midterm week. So, I know a few of you are preparing to do your group. So just some reminders on, keeping up with that and doing, I guess I should log into here, what you need to finish this class successfully. So when you get in there, my goal for today is, I want to see if you guys are caught up in here. So getting into the generalist practice 2 and creating your groups. So observing the online AA meeting, then making sure that you have everything you need to create your group, which you can download here right under the Girls Circle Facilitator Manual. There's the relationships with peer curriculum. I know some of you are using that. And almost done through the PowerPoints about group dynamics, leadership, ethics forming, and then storming, and then working and closing. And the final one we did last week, some of it at least, was the creativity in group work. So showing you how to, instead of just mimicking what they do on Girls Circle, go ahead and see if this will open. I guess it did. Creating your own group. Some of you wanted to do stuff with girls in the detention center, juvenile detention center, maybe like work release from jail, people that are wanting to do things. And that's where the creativity comes in. And then finishing up with implementation. So interesting. It won't. See if it'll open them now. Okay, yeah, so the last two we're going to be covering the last few weeks here, the specialty in groups, and then implementation of groups. So specialty group work. Sometimes the hardest part to do is the implementation, like suiting up and showing up. So a lot of folks, have you do group projects, doing different things that you have to work together on. But in this case, you will be the actual leader of the group. So just getting some things on that. Resources for group leaders, the incredible years, and then working remotely. This is the one that I had seen because it came up with coronavirus, and I wanted you guys, although it's not really showing well, to see this before we do anything, because this is the new shift. The last 2 semesters, we've had to kind of just shift quickly to the remote stuff. And I know some of you will be leading remotely. So this is kind of a little bit of a primer for that. You can find this video on the incredible years and how to work remotely with them. A lot of parents have had to teach their own kids, implementing stuff electronically. Those are helpful. And then how to do it with like Zoom. Sometimes there's not a good connection. Sometimes there's sometimes the internet is stinking for them. So, finding different tips on how to do it properly and productively there. I missed the social work word. So, in videos. So those of you that are doing the girls group, I wanted you to see this one about leading the girls circle, because this one was helpful. So go from there.
YouTube TV has no hidden fees, unlike traditional services.
With your commercial, and then get you guys going.
I'm Bobby Flay, and tonight, making
after the commercial.
This is Ranch Night in Hidden Valley.
That does sound good, actually.
Everybody.
Hello, thanks for watching Social Work Scrapbook. Today, this is a part 2 for day in the life of a school social worker. Last time I was talking about going into a girls group and co-facilitating and being a guest, and I'm going to show you exactly the group intervention that I use, share some resources that hopefully you can apply to your groups that you're running as well. So stay tuned for more. If you are just tuning in to my channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Lauren. I am a clinical social worker. I work in the school system, and typically you'd find me in a middle school. But today I'm sharing the time that I took a trip into an elementary girls group. I was invited in by the social worker there. Hello guys, it's Wednesday. Let me clean my camera. It's really dirty. It's like muggy and foggy over here. It wants to rain, but it's not raining. And I'm rushing right now, I'm always rushing, to a girls group that I was invited to speak at. She wanted to invite a young, vibrant female to talk to the girls and provide some inspiration and motivation, and she thought of me, and I am so humbled by that and so excited. So I'm gonna go. I have my lesson plan, but at the same time, I knew I was gonna battle up against some major counter-transference. Some things you should know about me is that my elementary school experience, you can watch the video where I go into a little more detail about that. But other than the counter-transference that I knew was going to bubble up within me, I was excited to get into this elementary school. I consider it a part of self-care as well, because as I mentioned, typically I'm in the middle school, and sometimes you have to break out of your norm and expose yourself to other populations, particularly younger populations. If it's been a while since you stepped foot in an elementary school, I strongly suggest it. It's clean, it's bright, colorful, it's just beautiful. You get to see the little kids. There's so much potential in there. So now let me get into what I planned for my guest appearance at #GirlSquad. Isn't that the cutest? That's what they titled the group. And the theme of the group is leadership, how to get others to follow you. So I have my lesson planned out. We're going to talk about virtues and how they are our internal jewels that we keep forever. And polish them daily. It's going to be a great lesson. I just need to go buy a few last minute supplies because I thought I had colorful permanent markers and I don't. Okay, I didn't find my lightless, flameless candles, but so I got a real candle. I'm trying to build Puga. If you don't know what Puga is, I want to make a video on that. The book of Puga. I've actually shared it on my Instagram page before. It's like the study of happiness. The Danish language has something called Puga. One of the best ways that the Danes create happiness is through candlelight. So candles is a good way to bring and channel positive energy to your room, your life, your groups. So when you start a group, you typically begin by reviewing the rules of the group. I stepped into one of their final meetings, so the rules had been established by the group, and so we just had to review the rules.
So she's kind of reviewing for us real quick, like in the first session, if any of you lead the girls circle in the first session, you will have the rules of the group. And you do that collaboratively, because if you're just telling them, it might not go over well. And also, hopefully this video is not monetized, because sometimes this is for educational purposes only, but they do a copyright strike.
No drama, no interrupting, and keep your hands to yourself. That's simple. The students, the group members, come up with the rules themselves. So after we reviewed those things, I introduced myself and asked the group to fill me in on their previous lessons. They mentioned to me that they were working on using their voices. So I decided to start off with a very fun icebreaker. Let me tell you how this works. So you introduce the icebreaker as a typical game of rock, paper, scissors with a twist. For this group, since we're working on leadership and positive characteristics, I asked the group members to think of a positive characteristic that starts with the first letter of their name. So for example, I would be loyal Lauren. You can do this with favorite animals. You can do it however. So everyone pairs up, and what you do with your partner is you introduce yourself by your name. So I introduce myself. Hello, my name is Loyal Lauren. I challenge you to a game of rock, paper, scissors. What is your name? You come up with the winner, best of three, however they want to do it. That person now becomes my follower and my supporter and cheerleader. So we go and find another winner and change that winner to rock, paper, scissors. So what you have is two kind of teams meeting up with a supporter behind them. And the supporter's role is to chant loyal Lauren, over and over. So what you get is an environment of lots of giggles and laughter. The winner is going to get two more followers to chant their name, and they find the next line of winners. And so you just have so many fun characteristic words being yelled out. It's a great way to start a group that's a little quieter, that doesn't know each other very well, to kind of get everyone in the energy of participating and speaking up, which segued perfectly into the book that I read next to the group. Now, I realized that the girls were 4th and 5th grade, but in my experience, children this age, and as they get older, past 5th grade, there's little and little time that they get books read to them, especially picture books, and they truly appreciate it. And I highly recommend this book. I teared up. I had to read it. Of course, I read it beforehand, and I teared up reading it to myself.
The smallest girl in the smallest grade, she said, "I'm tired of seeing this terrible stuff. Stop hurting each other. This is enough."
Has an empowering message about speaking up and utilizing your voice, regardless of how small you are and how small you may sound. It resonated with me very much, and I can tell that some of the girls are really taking it in. From that point, we moved into highlighting positive virtues. The activity that I chose is called Virtue Jewels. This is what I'm going to be showing and reviewing with you. And I got the inspiration from this book. This is so cute. I highly recommend School of Awake. There is so much in here that you can take out and utilize with girls, especially, but really with any child that you're trying to build their confidence, their coping skills. This is a great read. I took a small section of the last chapter called Virtue Jewels. For this activity, you do need a few things, but I like the book because everything that you need is very well priced, if not free. 6 pennies per student that I knew was in the group. I shined them up the night before, and then I grabbed some permanent markers. So what the girls are doing with each penny is creating a virtue jewel. So what I did was introduce the idea of virtues and what they are, and defined that, and then we start going through the 6 virtues that I'm gonna give them to keep. So with their pennies, I introduced the first virtue, which is faith. And I asked them all to draw a sun, however they wanted to look, on their penny. As they're drawing, I'm discussing faith as a virtue. So faith is trusting in life and knowing that all is going to be well. We did have some students asking questions, and then we move on to the next virtue, which was compassion. And they draw a heart on the next penny. So here you get the students engaged in an art activity, sharing markers and listening to the virtue of compassion and how the girl in the book was able to do that. And they draw those conclusions on their own. There's a lot of insight happening. This is continued on with the other virtues that I had lined up, which was gratitude, confidence, integrity, and humility. So we went through all of those. If you're interested in this activity, please let me know. I'm happy to share it with you. Something that I took from this activity was one of the students asked again what the star stood for. And the star stood for confidence, loving and believing in yourself. She said she was going to put her confidence jewel on her desk when she took the state assessment test, which in Texas, it's the STAR test. It was just perfect how she was able to connect that together. I was just doing somersaults in my head. That just made so much sense. These clients, no matter how young they are, they can connect these things. That's something I hadn't even thought of. And here she was connecting it. It was amazing.
The group went so well. It was a total of 11 4th and 5th grade girls. So I was a little intimidated. Oh my God, I was bullied severely in those very grades. Well, actually it was, 4th grade into 5th grade. So it was like dealing with my own emotional stuff.
Funny thing about social work is that these issues within us, we do end up working them out. It's like the life lessons that you're meant to learn will come hitting you. So if you're planning on being a social worker, that's what Graduate School is going to be all about. People ask me to share that experience, and I plan on making a video soon on my college experience and graduate school experience for those of you that are going through that. But it is a lot of soul searching. It is a lot of self-discovery, and it's important because you utilize yourself in your sessions more than you think, especially if you're going into a clinical practice, and you have to really work through those things so that you're not bringing it into a session. It's inevitable. We're human. I pat myself on the back because I didn't get triggered by the girl that was looking at me like with an attitude face. And yes, there is that girl, there is that person in every group.
I felt my bully in the group, but you just keep pushing through because you know that the most unlovable kids are the ones that need it the most. So, and that's something that I've learned throughout the years. So overall, it was a great group. They talked about asking me back next year to do the lesson again on virtual.
Live TV from 85 plus channels with local sports and news. YouTube TV. Try it free. Meet Believe Diapers, the only diaper with 1-for-1 matching. For every Believe diaper you buy, we donate.
So I hope that this video helped you a little bit. If you have more questions about groups, then let me know in the comments below. I'm hoping to follow your social work journey, so please hashtag social work scrapbook anywhere you're at. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, now, and YouTube, of course. Thanks for watching today. Until next time, I'm wishing you social work success.
So you can catch up on her videos. Some of them are helpful for practice, but actually implementing that group and doing what you need for groups, it's definitely a go-to. She has a lot of good videos. I know some of you may be taking the practice test soon. So
for now, though, let's look more closely at some different kinds of specialty groups. My guess is that as we look over some of these different groups, you will be more interested in some than others, and there may be groups that don't pique your interest at all. Even if you are not interested in leading a group like this in the future, it can be very helpful to be familiar with the range and variety of groups that are available, as they are a valuable referral resource for your clients. Groups for the unemployed may provide resources for learning, increased accountability, networking, emotional support, and increased self-awareness. Research has shown that participants of so-called job clubs enjoy lower levels of frustration with search process, used a wider variety of services, and spent more time on job search activities. Groups for the unemployed, like many kinds of groups, can minimize a sense of isolation and alleviate interpersonal and interpersonal stress and conflict. Groups for military personnel and their families help provide support for a population who have been shown to suffer from a great deal of trauma and stress, regardless of whether or not they have seen actual combat. These groups may be psychoeducational in nature to help with transitions or teach coping skills, or they may be geared more towards emotional processing in the here and now through counseling groups. Regardless of the type, these groups benefit from the same environment and emotional support, from the safe environment and emotional support that groups can offer. Other specialty groups include those for new mothers or those experiencing issues with anger and aggression. Telephone groups have become popular as options for those living in rural areas, as well as caregivers or older adults who are unable to travel to group meetings. Telephone groups have been shown to have the potential to provide information, support, and coping skills to caregivers. Trauma stress groups can help members acquire new coping skills and attitudes, increase the ability to advocate for peers, improve interpersonal relationships, and positive impacts on resiliency. Groups are also geared towards a variety of disabilities, which, like all groups, require screening to ensure that the members are appropriate for the agreed upon purposes and goals. Parents of students with learning disabilities, for instance, have been shown to gain a greater sense of control and reduced stress level through group counseling. Prevention groups may help people avoid potential problems, and achievement groups promote academic achievement for adolescents through psychoeducational techniques. Both prevention and achievement groups, you will notice, target specific relations and both promote health and wellness rather than addressing an existing concern.
So the one thing that stuck out there actually is about the specialty group of military personnel. They mentioned, those who had been in combat and those who had not been. Similarly with new mothers, that could be those who had a baby and those who adopted a baby, things of that nature. So keep an open mind with those.
As we bridge now from specialty groups to creativity in groups, we remind ourselves that group work relies on making real contact with our members, engaging them in the process, and facilitating growth and development through this. Creativity plays an important role and is defined by Gladding as the ability to produce new and useful thoughts, behaviors, and feelings in a socially appropriate context. No group, even those that are run based on a very specific manual, is ever exactly the same. Creativity allows leaders to respond to issues that may arise with flexibility and innovation. Two models for creativity in groups are De Bono's 6 Hats approach and Orbelli's Scamper model, with apologies if I'm mispronouncing that.
So getting creative again, using things to address their challenges that come up, the concerns that come up, any difficulties, and get creative with their different behaviors. So the 6 hats approach, the next slide, they're going to go over the white hat, the red hat, the black hat, yellow, green, and blue hat.
Briefly, De Bono's 6 hat approach can be used when considering a problem, difficulty, challenge, or concern by breaking that situation down using 6 different so-called hats. Using your imagination here, you try on each hat before deciding what to do and examine the issue from each perspective while in the group context. The white hat is one where questions are raised using available information only, thinking about the issue based on facts alone, remaining neutral and objective. The red hat focuses on emotions and gets at instinct and gut reactions with no justification required for the feelings that are expressed. The black hat focuses on flaws or barriers to the course of action being considered, so that care and caution must be considered. The yellow hat highlights good points that have been raised and focuses on what might be the best thing that would happen if the idea being considered was in fact adopted. The final hat, the blue hat, is the organizing hat and helps us think logically and sequentially about our thoughts. Each hat represents a way of thinking, and in the group context, each member can try on the same hat at the same time to encourage deeper thought and consideration.
So hats, thinking of the different ways you're going to lead the group in different ways. I do like that they have the red hat, which is tend to be like a warning flag, is you get an instinctive gut reaction. When you look at your black hat, focusing on flaws or barriers, things that you don't think you're getting through to your group members. With the yellow hat, you're highlighting the good points. That could be from you as the leader or the group members that you're leading. Green, I like, is growth and future. So green being the growth and springtime. And then blue hat about organizing. So the next one is about Everly's Scamper model.
The Scamper model offers a different approach to creativity and is a mnemonic device where each letter of the word scamper represents a different word and way of being creative. In any situation, we can use each letter to prompt a question for reflection. The S stands for what can be substituted in the situation, whether it be coming up with a different ingredient for a recipe or a different word to improve communication patterns. The C represents a question of what can be combined. Especially in the group setting, combining verses or ideas can improve upon either idea as it was individually. The A refers to adapting or adopting, which means making something your own. Your book suggests that this could include adapting to a certain communication style or adopting an open attitude toward others. The M letter represents modifying by making something larger or smaller. In a group setting, this could be modifying the seating or the length of a session based on member need. The P stands for put to other uses and encourages you to think about alternative ways to utilize certain objects or phrases. There may be a motto or something that you can think of that was used for a certain purpose in one aspect or environment of your life and has been put to use in another part of your life as well. The E reminds us to eliminate behaviors that are unproductive. Each of us can probably think of excessive behaviors, perhaps nervous ums or likes, for instance, that could be eliminated. Finally, the R stands for what can be reversed or rearranged. I especially like the idea of rearranging, where we can mentally shift our focus from one achievement, habit, concern, or regret, and instead focus on something more beneficial. It does not attempt to remove, but rather shifts focus.
So again, I like this because you all notice this when you begin leading groups. There's things that can throw you off. So beginning with the self-care, so making sure you're doing things to take care of yourself every day so that it doesn't build up and carry over into your workplace or your internship. It's a good mnemonic device for how to be creative, but if you're doing self-care, you can lead the group well. And sometimes it's just one of a few things that can be moved around. As she said at the beginning, substituted things, combined, if you need to be more productive in a way, adapt, even suggestions from group members, modifying the group or put things to other uses. Also finding ways to eliminate the unproductive behaviors. And that may be like having a talking stick. So only one person does talk when they're holding the stick. Because if two are talking at once, it's unproductive because then it has to be said again 2 more times. So you're saying it 3 times. And then reverse or rearrange. So if you need to move things around or maybe make it a different time, not after lunch because people are falling asleep, or in a different room that doesn't have the sun beating in on them, or they're really hot in the summer or even cold. So just having those basic things to have the group flow well. And it's hard when the group is not flowing. And you will see that in practice. Those of you that are going to get your license with your internship next year, you'll see that in practice in general.
In summary, specialty groups focus on one particular problem or population, which may include groups for unemployment, new moms, anger management, or military veterans and or their families, and may also target prevention or achievement. Finally, when paired with clear goals and intentions, creativity in groups can facilitate growth and development and help overcome difficult challenges and obstacles. Thanks for listening. This is the end of Lecture 7.
All right, so as you can see, getting creative might be the one thing that you'll need to kind of like open up group members to different ideas and different things going on. Um, with specialty groups, you sometimes may draw on your own experience. So we mentioned before only to self-disclose when is helpful to you and others participating in the group. So if you're creating your own group for groups for unemployment, groups for a new mom, if you've had a mom, that would certainly help. Anger management, even if you've had issues in the past or learned that growing up. Military veterans, they do seem to like to have another veteran lead it, but just like addictions, you don't have to be a military veteran to lead those. So considering those as you're putting your groups together, check in with me if you have any questions, because I know they do come up. It's not the easiest thing to create or lead a group, but if you're creating your own group, definitely ask questions. If you are even leading one with the girls circle, let me know if you have questions. Remember, this is midterm week, so I am going to open everything up so you guys can catch up on things. Anything that you need to do, it should be open. Discussions with a few replies, and then the first two major assignments, and then preparing for that final paper due at the end of next month. So that is all that I have for today. So again, call, email, or come by, and I'll see you all next week.